It's good to see you again. Good to talk to you. So yeah, your guy Chuck sat right here 7 days ago and made this announcement. Had been teasing it for quite some time, but he said he is back. And so off the bat, I'm just wondering. I'm assuming you knew he was going to say that, right? You were aware of his intentions to return, correct?
No.
Okay, really? Wow.
Yes and no. I mean, he's been throwing it out there, but he knows, like, he knows how I feel about it. So he doesn't. He hasn't. We don't talk about it. It's kind of a taboo subject for us, just because he knows how I feel about it. Um, and so we don't really talk about it. We talk about a lot of things, but that's not one of them.
Okay, so how do you feel about it?
I don't like it at all. In fact, I don't like. I mean, I don't like any of my fighters to fight. I wish they were all just training in my gym and we're having fun. And that's what I started the pit for back in 1985. And I never want anyone to fight. I don't think it's to me it's not fun. Never has been. But then all of a sudden, Chuck wanted to fight, and I said, "Come on, bro, let's just train and have fun. Go be a CPA." I mean, he got his degree in accounting. Come on. And he goes, "No, I want to give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. See where it goes." So we saw where it went, and because of that, I trained some other people and worked with some other guys. But to me, they're all my family, and I wish they could just all train and we could have fun. So I don't want him to fight anymore. But with that said, if he does, and he really has to do it in his heart, then I'm behind him 100%.
So you say that, if he does come back, you're behind him. Does that mean, coaching him and cornering him? Are you going to be a part of this?
I will. I'll do whatever Chuck needs. Whatever Chuck needs in his heart. If he wants me to come work with him for the fight, if he wants me to work his corner, if he wants me to do both, then I'll do both. But if I had the choice, if it was my choice, I'd say, hey, stay retired and let's go hang out in Hawaii this year.
Do you have concerns, safety, health concerns about him fighting?
I have safety and health concerns about everybody fighting, but not him more than others. I mean, he was stopped in a few of his last fights, but to be honest, like most boxers get stopped that many times in any given training camp, because especially in the old days, when sparring was much more full on and much more prevalent in training camps, people were getting, he hasn't had, like buku, not or a lot of knockouts. So, you know, that's not what I worry about for him specifically. I just worry about that for all my fighters because I want them all to be safe.
How do you think let's say it gets out that John Hackleman has said that, he'd rather Chuck not return, not a fan of it. How do you think he will react to that news? Do you think that he will be surprised that you said this, or do you think he will be, disappointed? How do you think he will react to hearing you say you'd rather him not come back?
Oh, I think he knows. I mean,
Okay.
I wish he didn't come back before he started. So, but
Right.
he also knows that I got his back, and if he has to do this for whatever reasons, I'll have his back. I'll train him. I'll work with him. I'll do the best I can to get him ready. So I think he knows that.
Why do you think he is coming back all these years later? Almost a decade later, he's almost 50. Why do you think he wants to come back now?
Uh, some people have that bug, like I hated fighting so much I would never even think of coming back. But guys like him, they love it. Like Glover. Glover loves to fight. Him and Chuck, in the corner in the dressing room before their fights, they're at their height of their happiness. And I could never understand that. Like I was much more nervous than they were. And I mean, even as a trainer, I was more nervous than they were in the corner or in the dress room. And Chuck truly loved to fight. He didn't. Some people want to be a fighter really bad because then that makes them a fighter. Can you see me? Am I on?
Yeah, yeah,
In
yeah,
my
yeah.
air quotes?
Yes, I see the air quotes.
Okay, I'm doing air.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So some people want to be a fighter, right? So they can say, "Oh, I'm training for a fight," and then, I'm a fighter. Guess what? I'm a fighter. And then they tell everyone they're a fighter, but they don't love to fight. As soon as they get hit or in a bad position, you can see it in their face. They don't love to fight. Chuck, Glover, Court, most of my fighters now, they love to fight. And when they get in there and the first time they get hit, you can see it in their face. They love to fight. They love fighting. Chuck loved everything about it. In the dressing room, he loved that pre-fight adrenaline. He loved that. And I'm sure you miss it after doing it for so long and then it's taken away from you. There's a big hole there, and some people fill it with teaching or training other people or drugs or alcohol or all of the above. And with Chuck, I don't know. He's training. He has a fit lifestyle for the most part. So I don't know. It just popped back in his head. I guess maybe he missed it for whatever reason, and he needs to fill that void. And some people fighting is that void they want to fill. So I don't understand it really, but I have to respect it.
Between now and say, the end of the year, perhaps that's when this fight takes place. Will you actively try to convince him to not fight?
No, not at all. I've already. He knows how I feel.
Uh-huh.
He knows exactly how I feel. We've had this discussion many, many, many times from the beginning of his career before it started, before he did his first amateur kickboxing match, through his amateur career all the way to the UFC. He knows exactly how I feel about him fighting, and he knows I love him and I got his back. But he knows how I feel about it. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse, and I'm not gonna be that nagging little bitch. So I'll just whatever he has to do. Um, he's going to do. And as someone that loves him as a family member, I'll be there for him, even if I don't like it. Just like you go to your kids, their when they play their instruments and their concerts. You go to all their stuff, their games. Even if they're sitting on the bench, you go because you love your kids. I love Chuck, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to help him realize his full potential in his life.
Does it make you
That's
feel?
weird. That sounded weird.
No, no. I certainly understand and appreciate it, especially considering, the analogy that you made with the kids. You love them even though you may not, be on the same page as far as what they're doing at the time. You're always going to support them, and I think that says a lot about you.
I
Um,
dread, I dread corners. I dread being in a corner. I dread it. I dread it more than any other part of martial arts that I've ever dealt with. I break down sometimes. My wife has to like pick up the pieces. Working my fighters' corners makes me so stressed that sometimes I just have a breakdown. I'll just go in a corner and I'll just lose it because I'm so nervous for them. I love most my guys so much, and when something happens, I just break down. And even if they just get hit and then they win, it just throws me for a loop. So I don't like that, but I know for whatever reason, I'm not trying to brag, but I know that I'm good at that, and I know that's one of my callings in life, and I know I have strategies and I'm good at directing my guys. So I know I'm good at it. I just, for some reason, I don't really, it's just something I can't stand doing because it makes me so nervous.
so why do you do it? Why don't you just stop doing it?
Because people like Chuck and then my upcoming people now that are fighting, one of them's been with me since he's 4 years old. He's in his 20s now and he's an undefeated MMA fighter. But I knew that I can't retire until they're done. Once my batch right now is done, I'm done. But I think I owe it to them because I have a calling to do it, and they want me to do it and they feel more comfortable with me in their corner. So I do it because I love them. And I'm not saying I'm like, this guy, I'm sacrificing this and that. I get stuff out of it too. But I need to be there to protect them, I feel, and help them win, even though it just it's something I'd rather be at home watching True Blood, actually.
Does it make you feel any better considering the success that he's had against Tito Ortiz that that could be the guy that he returns against? That at least it's not, oh, I don't know, Jon Jones, who he mentioned. Like at least it's someone like Tito at around his age.
That was brutal, bro. That was brutal.
No, I'm just
That
saying
was uncalled for.
on the
Oh
you know
my
the
God, why
first one
did you
back.
go there?
No, well, he brought it up. The first one back seems a little. It's
I
I respect his drive, but anyway, does Tito make you feel better?
that would be a bit much. Um, no, not really.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, because like, can you cuss on the show?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like fucking the fat chick again. It's like you don't want to do it in public again. I mean, you had to do it because times were hard, or you got forced to do it for whatever reason. You don't want to keep doing it. And I respect Tito for a lot of reasons, but Chuck beat him twice already. He stopped him twice, and that's all I mean by that analogy. I'm not putting down Tito at all. Tito is a pioneer, and he's a stud. I mean, he'll fight anyone, anytime. He's done shit in the UFC that's, I think he's a great fighter. Chuck has his number, but it's not just him, but he's already knocked him out twice. So it doesn't make me feel better or worse. The Jon Jones thing, that was like pushing it a little too far on that edge right now. Um, but Tito, as an opponent, Tito is a good opponent for Chuck, and we know that by the history.
How would you describe Chuck in the gym these days? Like from a a reaction standpoint, timing, things like that. What is it like? Is he very rusty? Are you are you surprised at how he is? How would you describe him?
I don't really see him much in the gym. He lives in L.A. I live in San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
So when I do see him, when we do our really infrequent training, he looks just like he did back in the day, but that's not against a real competitor. So it's easy to be a gym fighter, and I'm not saying that's what Chuck is, but I can't judge how he's going to react in a cage by how he hits a bag.
Okay.
But with that said, he still has a shit ton of power, and he still has his moves, and that kind of stuff is in his muscle memory. His takedown defense, his punching power, his fight IQ. You don't lose that kind of stuff, and so that's it. Yeah.
And so when he does in fact like enter a training camp, if you will, like he has a fight, a date, all that stuff and more, will he train with you on a day-to-day basis? Will he come to where you are? Will you go to where he is? How will that work?
We have not discussed the details.
Okay.
I would say it would be like a training camp, and I would be there, or he would be here, or both, because it's not that far. I mean, I know people that work in LA that live here.
Right.
So it would take a lot of time and energy to do that, but it's something that would be doable.
Lastly, I do have
Yeah.
to ask. I mentioned it a little bit, but his back and forth with John Jones now. How does that make you feel?
Um, just kind of awkward. I mean, it's like it's an awkward back and forth. I don't like it. I don't like that kind of I don't like that kind of meanness. Like I love like when guys go back and forth in a fun way, like Rampage used to, or even like Chael Sonnen used to. I like that kind of funny stuff. Or McGregor, he used to.
Uh-huh.
But then they pushed it too far, and to me it gets mean and mean spirited, and it takes away from the it just takes away from everything, and it doesn't put anything into this martial art based sport. I think it takes away from it, so I don't really like it. And I think Jones, like, I don't mean to disrespect my elders and stuff like that. And I mean, if Chuck says, I think I could have beat him in my prime, that's not a put down. So then to say, well, I don't disrespect my elders, I mean, that's kind of a backhanded slap, and that's disrespectful. And, I mean, if guys want to do that, and just it makes them look a little lower, then that's fine. But I think Chuck, I've never heard Chuck say mean things about people. He could say, I think I could beat him, or I'd like to fight him, but I've never heard him like doing like the put down thing like some of the guys like to do. And I just don't like it. I think it minimizes our sport.
John, I appreciate you doing this and for being so honest about your feelings. I know that's that's something that you've often done. You're a very candid and honest person, but to talk about something like this, which I would imagine is somewhat sensitive, is very much appreciated. So
Right.
thank you very much, John, for doing this, and good luck to you guys. Good to catch up with you.
Hey, thank you. Anytime. And I'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you.